I guess we now know what it feels like for the deaf community most of the time, living in a world catering to the hearing, who, paradoxically, spend half the time not listening much anyway. But I think we've left you hearing people in the dark for long enough. Moving on. My name is Anders, and I'm the writer and director of Comedy Festival for the Deaf. Instead of making you watch me 4 minutes down on my knees begging for your hard-earned money, we thought it'd be more interesting to instead give you an insight into why we're making this film, some of the thoughts and the themes behind it, and why we think it's a story worth telling. If you're all set, let's get started. Any film made today not addressing or at least relating to virtual communication and how that affects the way we coexist and respond to the world around us might be beautiful, life-affirming, tear-jerking, and masterful. It might even go on to win grand jury prizes at big festivals or get cult followings, singing, dancing, and throwing blue or green fuzzy earwarmers at the screen. But can it ever be a relevant film? That's our guiding question. That's why we're currently making this film and why we want you to watch this video from wherever you are and whatever screen you might be watching it from. Because we're creating products to be viewed on these devices, we need to question virtual communication. If film is still a serious medium, which means a serious contender to the current top quality images coming from other platforms, we need to constantly question virtual communication. Because we force people to suspend intrinsic reality for however long we demand their gaze to be fixated on a screen, we need to always, always, always question virtual communication. Comedy Festival for the Deaf deals with this conundrum in the context of a comedy festival event for the deaf community, which means sign language fills the film, and if you have ever had the pleasure to either engage or observe the exchange of this language, you will have discovered, like us, its beauty, how cinematic it looks, and how deeply physical it is. We thought that was perfect for a film dealing with the exact opposite, which is a virtual, non-physical space, which may sound louder, but not feel as intense. The protagonist, Harold, is a hearing comedian performing at this event. His ally is his pregnant girlfriend, April, and the antagonist of the story is the controversial and newly deaf comedian, Lizzie X, who's also performing at this event. Almost as a response or a counterattack to this ever-growing presence of words, opinions, and interaction in this online non-physical space I mentioned earlier, Harold, as a physical being, in turn yells louder, reacts more extremely, and hurts more violently when he's caught, pants down, masturbating to Lizzie X through a hole in the wall. All the while, April is left alone outside in the bar, waiting for him to join her so that they can announce her pregnancy to her grandmother, who, coincidentally, is going deaf fast. We want to give you everything here. People communicating in this new language and how it looks and feels and what it means. Harold, not knowing how to interact and exist in this new world, and as a result of that objectifies and sexualizes it. Lizzie X taking advantage of that fact to investigate Harold and to subject him. April and the life growing inside of her caught in a pendulum swing from Harold's inability to connect and be intimate to her grandmother's frustrations of losing, other than her hearing, the connection with the world altogether. All the while the room around them is silent but roaring, constantly moving but oddly inactive, constantly typing and constantly communicating. The film, like all of you and all of us, just trying to make sense of everything that's going on around us. Whatever you might ultimately get from our investigation, and whether you find us and ultimately the film too cynical or too pretentious, we will leave entirely in your capable hands. But please, above all, consider our film this: questioning. And you're hereby very much invited to question with us. Thank you.